Let's go. Good boy. Good, stay. Okay, down, stay. Okay, place. Good boy. Down, stay. Leave it. Leave it. Leave it. Okay, Lance, come. Very good. Good job. Okay. Lance, wanna play? Look what I got. Look what I got. Get it, Blake. Come here, Lance. Sit. Good. Drop it. Good boy. Good boy. Drop it. Good job. Drop it. Very good boy. Good boy. Well, good boy. Lance. Lance. Lance, come. Good job, buddy. Good boy. Okay. Good. Hi, this is Ashley from Top Dog Training and Resort. I just showed you everything that Lance has learned since he's been here, and now I'm going to show you how to give each command properly and then correct him if he chooses not to obey, or if he does something that we're trying to get him to do less often, such as jump up on us or nip. We're going to give a correction for. But first, important to remember that every command has two parts. The command such as sit, and then the release word, which is okay. So okay frees him up to do what he wants until you tell him what to do next. So after every command, we tell him okay, and then he's free until you go ahead with the next command. We also do a hand signal for a couple of the commands, so it helps him visually as well as auditorially. So very important to make sure that you are looking at him, Lance, when you go to give him a command. So for sit, we're gonna start with sit. The hand signal for sit is gonna be a palm up towards the sky. So you're gonna get him focused on you, stand right in front of him. I'm gonna encourage him to get up in a second and then tell him the command as well as the hand signal. Okay, sit, good, okay. And of course, if he does it the first time, just tell him good boy. Let him know that he's done the right thing. No corrections are needed. Lance, if you weren't to sit the first time, you wanna first give him a verbal reprimand, and then another 1 or 2 seconds. If he still hasn't sat, Lance, come here, good boy, sit. Good. If he still hasn't sat after that you're gonna pop and release with the leash and the prong collar straight up and down between his ears. So a pop and release until he sits, then the correction stop, and you praise him. Make sure you let him know that he's done what you asked him to do. So even if you have to correct, make sure you praise when he complies. For down, palm towards the ground is gonna be the hand signal. Good boy. Excuse me. Again, you're gonna face him before you tell him what to do. And a lot of times I'll put him in a sit first. It's easier for him to then go into a down. So let's do that. Okay. Sit. Down. Good boy. Okay. So again, if he does it the first time, just praise him, tell him good job. If he doesn't do it, first you give him that verbal reprimand, that If he still doesn't do it, the correction with the leash is gonna be a pop and release motion, 45-degree angle towards the ground. Just think about where you want him to be. You want him to be down, so you correct towards the ground. Just pop and release until he lays down, then stop the corrections and praise him. Okay, good boy. For the place command, so that's going to be any designated area that you want him to go on. So like a dog bed is perfect. It could be a mat, a bath mat, just anything visual for him. And as long as all 4 paws are on it, he's good. It's a place. I like to tell him to lay down when he gets on it normally because he's much more relaxed and he's more inclined to hold it for a little longer when he's in a down. So I'm going to put him on the place. The hand signal for that's going to be like a swooping motion. You're going to present it to him when you figure out what you want his place to be. And then the correction, if you didn't get on it, would just be a nag towards the bed. Lance! Place! Good boy. Down. There you go. So you can see a lot of times he'll fix himself with just that verbal reprimand. You don't need the leash as much, so remember to use that it's very helpful. And then I'm going to tell him to stay, which of course means hold your position. Stay. Whether it be a place in a sit position or a down position, just be noted, he seems like he's much more comfortable in a down than a sit. So if you expect him to hold it a little longer, I would put him in a down. So with the stay, the correction for if you were to break the stay, I'll try to see if he'll break it. He's a good boy. Up. Good job. So if you were to break the stay and come up, just want to bring him right back. Good boy. Please. Down. Good. And remind him to stay. And then you always want to make sure you go back to him, okay, before you release him. You don't want to do it from out here. You want to make sure he understands that you going back to him is the key to his release. Lance! Lance! Good go, boy! And then for leave it, that's going to be anytime he gets fixated on something else and you want him to return his focus back to you. In the demonstration, I threw treats on the ground, so anytime if you want to practice like that, Lance, leave it. Good boy. Good boy. Sit. Anytime he gets fixated on something, you can use that leave it command. And then make sure you praise him when he looks back at you, gives you his attention. If you're going to practice with the treats like we did in the demo, make sure you don't give him what you tell him to leave. That can be confusing, so give him a separate treat. But if he does not leave whatever you tell him to look at, you're going to pop and release with the leash in towards you until he gives you his attention. Then make sure you praise him. And then for the drop it, we play drop it, swap it. So try to have two toys of similar value to him, 2 tennis balls, perfect. Throw one, let him have it in his mouth, let him play with it. Show him the second one, tell him to drop it. As soon as he drops that first ball out of his mouth, throw the second ball. So it's going to be like an ongoing game for him, and he's going to realize that if he drops something, prized possession to him, he's going to get something in return. So this will come in really handy when he might have something potentially dangerous in his mouth. So it's really important to practice with toys so he gets into that habit of dropping things on command. Oh, that's a good boy. When we call him to come, that's the one command we're always going to use his name first. So it's going to be Lance, come. And then you're going to call him in with an outstretched arm in towards your body. And the command is complete, bless you, when he comes and sits right in front of you. That's the end of it. Good boy. So it's really important to be loud, animated, exciting. Always want to start on leash first, because when you're off leash, you don't have a way of correcting him yet until we start working with an e-collar. So start on leash first. Lance! And I'm going to call him. Hey, Lance, come. Good boy. Okay. If you're on leash, you have the ability to correct him if he doesn't come. And that's just going to be a pop and release towards you. Lance, come. Good boy. Beautiful. Okay. So I'm avoiding having to use the prong collar, being nice and loud and animated, encouraging him as he comes into you. And then this is definitely a command you want to use treats for when you first go home, just because it's such an important one. And you just want to keep it fun for him, keep reinforcing it really heavily, and then slowly wean him off the treats. A great game for y'all to both play at home is stand in the living room or stand inside to start with, close to each other, maybe 6 to 10 feet apart, and then call him back and forth. Both have some treats, leave that leash on him just in case you need to pick it up and correct him, and call him back and forth. And then once he gets good at that, slowly start spreading out a little bit, go to different rooms. It becomes hide and seek for him. It can be really fun and great way to kind of tire him out mentally, which is sometimes even more exhausting than physical. Hey, good boy. And then for the healing, so when we walk on a leash, our command is going to be let's go. That is going to initiate the walk. And now he's expected to stay on my left-hand side in line with my leg. He's also expected to sit when I come to a stop. He's expected to sit next to me. So the corrections for heeling when you're walking, and if he forges out a little too far in front, you're gonna pop and release back towards your hip. If he's out too far to the side, pop and release back towards your hip. Also great to do some 180-degree corrections. So that's if you're walking along and he's getting a little too distracted by something else, forging out a little bit in front, you're gonna quickly turn 180 degrees and continue walking in the opposite direction. So that leash is gonna do all the work correcting him, and he's gonna be like, whoa, you turned, I gotta stay, I gotta keep focused on you. Lance! Lance, come! Good. Okay, so we're gonna do a little heeling now. So just to show you what that looks like, leave it. Sit. Leave it. So you want to make sure the prong collar is up nice and high on his neck if you can. It's going to slide down just because of his fur, but the higher up it is, the more effective it is. And then make sure when he's next to you that the leash is slack, because any tension in the leash is going to be a correction in his mind. So give him the opportunity to make the mistake before he gets a correction for it. You ready? Let's go. You can also pat your left leg when you lead off. Good. He forged out a little bit. I'm just giving him little pops when he's not sticking with me. Very good. And then coming to a stop. Good boy. Okay. And then when you're ready for him to go to the end of the leash, go potty, what have you, give him that okay. Now he's free. He can leave that position from you. And then when you're ready to keep going, now he's with you and let's go. Initiates the walk again. What a good boy. And then last but not least, the off command. So that's if he's jumping up on you guys, other people, or furniture. It's gotten much better. It's still something y'all need to be consistent with. Make sure you correct him. If he goes to jump up, give him the off command. I also like to use that verbal reprimand, the And then if you have the leash on him, which is recommended in the beginning, it gives you a handle on him. Make sure that he realizes that he's going to be treated the same way at home as he is here. He's not going to get away with things. So the correction with the leash is going to be a pop and release towards the ground when you want, where you want him to be. He's jumping up, so pop towards the ground. And then you want to ask him to sit. You want to replace the bad behavior, the jumping up, with something good like a sit. So when he jumps up, he's going to get a correction. He's not going to get any attention. He doesn't like that. But when he sits, he's going to get praise. He's going to get affection. So make sure you're consistent with that. And anyone that he comes in contact with, want to make sure it's the same routine. So especially when people come over to the house, very excitable time for him. Be able to correct him if you need to. So have that collar on, have that leash on him, and that'll be very helpful for you. Right? He's such a sweet boy. Okay.